When you were little, people who grew up in the church, didn't you think God only spoke Old English? King James? The first time I said you instead of thou, I was like, ooh, am I Breaking Bad? I wasn't sure. As I prepare to preach this morning, I just want to share with you some good personal news. I am a grandma this morning. My beautiful daughter-in-law, Gabby DeVoe, and my beautiful son-in-law, Joel Janka, had a baby this morning at 5:49. Somebody told me I look tired. I'm like, not as tired as Gabby is. How about 5:49 a.m. She was born 5 pounds, 9 ounces, Ophelia Grace. So I'm really happy about that. And you know, having babies and baptizing babies and listening to what I call the music of our children's corner makes me so happy. And I just want to apologize if you went to a church where children were quieted and put out of the room. We are really trying to be intentional about growing up some babies who not only know what it's like to go to Sunday school, but know that they're loved by God and that they can be in the sanctuary and they can make a little noise. So I want to snaps to my team, and you guys are awesome. The idea of a children's zone and the babies, that is music to my ears. And when they're running the church, we want to make sure that they have a Mama Earth to care for. So that's what we're reflecting on today on this Earth Day. Everything we need is the name of the sermon. So I just want to say, first of all, this 23rd Psalm starts with two really important phrases. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Or, God is my shepherd, I have no lack. I have everything that I need. And the whole psalm really explicates those two phrases. The first one, this beautiful shepherd metaphor, which would have really been music to the ears of the people in ancient Israel because they were an agrarian people and got their warmth and their substance, their wool, their milk from the sheep in the sheepfold. I have everything I need. The shepherd's psalm would have grabbed their imagination. They knew a lot about sheep. And so I, who am a city girl, took a dive into sheepdom a couple of years ago, and I'm going to tell you more about sheep right now than perhaps you ever thought you'd need to know. But it's important to locate ourselves in this metaphor. Are you with me? This guy named Philip Keller was a shepherd, and he wrote this book about the 23rd Psalm. And these are just some of the things about sheep that I think you need to know. Of course, they relied on the shepherd for everything. Everything, for food, for water, for shelter. The psalm is so literal if you really listen. The Lord is I shall not want. The shepherd will make sure I have all of it. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. I'm going to stop and be led to the nearest, closest, most lush, beautiful green place on the warm side of the mountain. He leads me beside the still waters. I'm going to go to the place where the water is cleanest and clearest because the shepherd's going to make sure I get there. The sheep don't have a good turn-off button when it comes to eat. I have that sometimes, especially when I'm stressed. Let's say there could be a tin of chocolate-covered almonds, and one thinks 5 is a good number. Start with 5. Yet 20 almonds later, one is still grazing on the almonds, right? Well, sheep are a little bit like Jacqui in that they'll keep eating until they fall down. Sheep will eat until they become gassy. Let's call it grassy and gassy. And then they will fall down. And when they fall down, they can't get up. It's like, help, I'm melting, I can't get up. So they're on the ground, and the shepherd literally has to stand them up again. So when the psalm says, he restores my breath, restores my soul, the shepherd really literally restores them to breathing and saves their life. Isn't that wild? Of course, the shepherd takes them on the right path. It's sometimes translated paths of righteousness, but for sheep, there's no righteous path, but there's the right path, the correct path, and the good shepherd knows how to use, we're not a violent people, but that thing called a rod makes a really good weapon against a bear or a lion. And the good shepherd knows how to strike and keep the sheep safe, but also using the staff to gently nudge and guide the sheep to get them where they need to go. I told you we're going to know something about sheep when we're done. Even in the presence of prey, of lions and tigers and bears, oh my, the good shepherd, I knew you could do it with me, the good shepherd takes the sheep to a flat land, to a tableau, to a place where they can be safe. Even in the presence of mine enemies, the shepherd sets a table for the sheep. Sheep can get sticker burrs. I hate sticker burrs. I have this hair. Bad things can happen to the hair. But they get sticker burrs or insects in their fur, in their wool, and they'll get near something and get to going like this. And then it starts feeling good. And they won't stop until they've scratched off their skin. So literally, the shepherd anoints their head with oil to help them heal. Are you with that? Here we have, all the way through this psalm, a real clear metaphor of a shepherd who takes care of the flock. All the way through the Hebrew scriptures and in the New Testament, taking care of the flock, making sure they're safe, making sure they're protected, making sure they have water, shelter, clothing, a sort of holy government, if you will. That's what the shepherd did, providing for the sheep. I don't know why the mic is scratching. Is that my hair? I don't have any earrings, Harold. Okay. So, holy government. I have everything I need. That's what the psalmist declares. Now, is that a metaphor? Or was the psalmist really saying, I experience a God, or my people have experienced a God, the whole people of Israel, not just a personal reflection, but the whole of us, all of us, can testify that God gives us what we need in order to survive. Not what we want, not chocolate-covered almonds and red wine, no, but what we need in order to survive. Water, shade, shelter, protection, green pastures, cool mountains, all of the earth. The psalmist is talking about the beauty, the splendor of the earth as the source of that which we need. Wool for clothing, grass for grazing, fish swimming, even cows for milk or the occasional steak. Okay, all of that coming from the earth. Animals, all of us meant to share in this beauty together. Meant to last an eternity, except not so much, right? Why? Because we who are human beings are consuming the earth as though it is not a limited resource. Why? Because we who are human beings have made Mama Earth our toilet and have exploited her, have gutted her for iron and ore and resources, like big chunks of earth taken out. We've taken our Mama Earth for granted, and she's not that happy with that. So in 1970 was the first Earth Day, and I'm so glad that we're celebrating that here today at Middle Church. I want to tell you some bad news to just shock you, because I'm a newly converted Earth nut. I mean, I'm a new convert to earth nutness. Let's talk about plastic. I like plastic. My mama used to sell Tupperware. I went to college on plastic. Like those burping things, woo, and everything's fresh, and love it. But the plastic crisis is now a global crisis. A study in 2015 shows that between 4.8 and 12.7 million metric tons of plastic, not are in the ocean accumulated, go in the ocean every year. That's just hard to say in a sentence. And by 2050, scientists expect there will be more plastic by weight in the ocean than fish in the ocean by weight. What? Doesn't make you want to go, what the? We won't say bad words in front of the kids. Since plastic is synthetic, there are very few natural processes that break it down. You can grind it down, you can recycle it. Good, you grind that down, recycle it. Plastic has, according to some scientists, a 2,000-year half-life. Do you know what that means? It has a 4,000-year full life. 2,000 years before it begins to degrade. And we can put it in landfills and call it like we're going to build on it, but that plastic makes its way to oceans. It is found in the bellies of fish and birds and whales. And this is really going to gross you out. It turns out it's in our stomachs too. One organization found plastic fibers in 83% of drinking water samples. Can I have that cup of water, Michael? No, Diane's coming. Well, yes. Thank you, Diane. I'm allergic to plastic, I think, I'm not sure. One investigation finds 83% of drinking water samples all over the world have plastic fibers in it. Can you imagine? It tested 250 bottles of our favorite water brands. Like, I love me some Dasani water. It tastes so good. Dasani, Aquafina, all of them. 11 leading brands. Plastic. Wow. That's the bad news. Except, no more plastic. Can you say it? No more plastic. I mean, no more plastic. There's a website, Earth Day 2018/plastic, but just Google Earth Day, that'll let you know about your own personal plastic footprint. So you can take a test, and it will let you know how you can downsize your plastic use. I'm going to go cold turkey. I'm going to throw away my baggies. No, I can't throw them away. I'm going to recycle my baggies. I'm going to let it go. So that's some bad news. You want to hear some good news? Because a lot of the climate control folks make it seem like there's nothing we can do. That dismotivates me. How about you? Yeah. A few years ago, the Chesapeake Bay was a hot mess. And it has changed, and human beings can take credit for it. It's the largest estuary in the United States. And for decades, it was one of the most polluted. I mean, fertilizer running off from Virginia and Delaware and Pennsylvania, stormwater, poultry farming junk, and frankly, sewage. And as the nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus sullied the bay, all the underwater life, including the grasses, began to die. And when the grasses die, the fish don't have any place to spawn. They don't have any place to hang out. The shellfish isn't hanging out. So suddenly you don't have any food. But, because folks got serious about climate issues in the Chesapeake Bay area, they have, thank you, my love. Oh, there's just many things for Jacqui. Thank you so much. They have regrown the seagrass beds. 42,000 acres now of seagrass has repopulated itself, and with that comes fish, and with that comes shellfish, and that's human beings. The government too, but that's human beings deciding not to pollute, deciding to change the way they farm. In fact, farmers got paid to use different kinds of organic material, and the seagrass and the bay is recovering. That's good news. Let's snap for that. Now I'm going to go back to a little medium news. I'm going to call this medium news. Maybe not. 2017 was one of the worst years in terms of national disaster in the history of the world. In the history of the world. You know that we're still working on Maria, and I think that's great news that we, Middle Church, Edna and Jorge and our team, snaps for our team, who are working in Puerto Rico. But Harvey, the severity of these storms is because of climate change. The severity of the storms, the amount of water, the severity of the surge is because the polar ice caps are melting at rates too profound to describe without making a natural disaster movie. It's insane. And when those polar ice caps melt, sea levels are going to rise 2 feet. And that means a lot of people are going to be out of places to live. It's a really big, hot mess. So, the mixed news on this is I think we have to take this thing really seriously. And we're working with the United Church of Christ. We're part of that denomination now. There's a beautiful website, ucc.org/climate change, that can give each of us practical things to do, to focus on our own footprint and to focus on our own local ecosystem. But one of the things I'm really excited about is that 12 young people, these children are just kicking butt, but 12 teenagers have sued the United States government, around climate change. And one of the things that we're going to be participating in with the UCC is 1,000 sermons about climate change. 1,000 sermons about climate change in this next cycle of 2 years, with children sometimes preaching. So I don't know, Elijah might be ready to preach. Dominic is ready to preach. Dominic's like, let's do this. So what does it say, baby? No more plastic. Woo! So there's nothing worse than a converted anybody, right? Those former smokers, you just want to kill them. They're so upset. I am a converted earth nut. It's not that I didn't get it. It's like we're busy thinking about economic justice. We're busy thinking about racial justice. We're busy thinking about LGBTQ justice. That's how we roll at Middle Church. Somebody will say to me, what are y'all doing about climate? I'm like, we're doing these 3 things. But guess what? If we're not doing earth, we can't really do these 3 things. And the truth of the matter is, Middle lives in the concept of intersectionality. We're womanist. We understand that we can't separate economy from race and from gender, right? We can't separate those. And I'm just saying, let's braid Mama Earth right in there and make it a 4-strand twist, okay, Erica? Not just 3, but a 4-strand twist, right? Because Mama needs our back. We got to have her back. We need to shoulder up. No more plastic. How about that as a starting place? Middle is going to get out of the plastic business. Except for my spandex. We're going to keep that. But I promise I'll recycle it. So we're going to get out of the plastic business. We're going to think about ways to conserve. And I'm inviting you, Middle family, I'm inviting you, new friends, to think, how will we together sustain our mama so we can help heal and change the world? Are you with me? Yes. Will you join in the conversion? Yes. Amen? Amen? Amen. 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 Thank you.